Hi, my name is Paige. Welcome to another Clear My Shelves video. So we are officially on vlog number 3 for this series, and if you would like to see the past 2 videos, I will link a playlist in the cards for you if you want to watch that. If not, I'm just going to summarize that I have read my quickest reads, or my shortest ones, and I have read novellas. So that left me all the way down to 133 books on my physical TBR. So we're going to read 5 more books in this vlog, and these ones I decided to go for some of my favorite types of books, and those are gay stories, LGBTQ plus stories, queer stories. You know, they just always are so good, and I feel like most of these are from Tor also, because I love Tor, and I tend to give Tor books very high ratings. So I'm excited to get into this and get into reading all of these stories, but in no particular order. Let me tell you about what I am reading in this vlog. If you don't want to hear this, you can just like skip to where you might see me talking about the books down at the bottom. If I remember to do timestamps, I will, but I'm notoriously bad about remembering that. But we have Written in the Stars by Alexandra Bellafour. This is a kind of Pride and Prejudice retelling, but it is sapphic. And we have 2 girls who are, I think, on a blind date set up by one of their brothers, and it doesn't go well, but then they have to fake date so that the brother doesn't keep trying to set them up or something. So that is going to be one of the ones I'm reading. Then we have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir, which has been, what's the word I'm looking for, has been sold to people as a sapphic necromancers in space sort of story. It seems to do with death, and I picked it up because the plaque at Barnes & Noble said it's the gayest book that person has ever read, and that sounded great to me. Then we have A Taste of Golden Iron, which is a fantasy that has to do with tasting of metal. I think that's the magic system in this, and I think it's a prince and his bodyguard. We also have A Light Amongst Shadows, which is a historical set in a boarding school type of story. I'm not super sure about that one. And we have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, which is a D&D inspired cozy fantasy, I believe. So these are the 5 books that we will be reading in this vlog. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the video. Hello, so we are going to be starting off with A Light Amongst Shadows, which was actually recommended to me by Nat at Nerdy Nat Reads. I think she just messaged me one day after finishing it and said, "You're going to love this, read this." So that's why I decided to pick it up. I saw it on Amazon, I think on sale one day, so I bought all 3 of them. So I'm excited to get into this one. I don't know much about it. I really don't know much about it. I just really trust Nat's opinion. So it's looking like it's about a boy named James who goes to a school for troubled boys, and he meets a boy there, and I'm going to assume that it's a love story. So we're gonna see what happens in this one. I don't know what to expect, but I'm excited, so let's get into reading this. I haven't moved from this spot. I haven't gotten out of my pajamas, but I have been reading, and I've made it to 50% in A Light Amongst Shadows, and I'm having a good time. It's not my favorite so far, but I am really liking the characters in this. So there's, I would say, a bit of insta-love in this, but I feel like I'm also almost understanding where it's coming from, because I'm not quite sure on how long it's been since the start of this book to this 50% mark. I want to say it's been like a full 6 months or so, or like a full first semester of courses, but I think it's been longer than the month it feels like it's been. And I've also been listening to this at 2 times speed, which makes things feel like they're going by much faster than they actually are. So I'm not fully sold on the love story, but I do really like our characters. I really love our main character. What's his name? James. He is just like a kind soul, and I enjoy reading from that perspective. And I really don't know where this book is going to be going. I don't understand what this paranormal element is. Like, it's very mysterious. I have no big theories on what happened to the missing kids. I really just don't know what's going on. Like, I don't even feel like I can fully predict what James' tragic background is at all. So like, I'm definitely really intrigued, and it's making me want to finish this immediately. And I'm gonna be real, I think I might try and finish it tonight. I think I only have like an hour and a half left of the audiobook if I'm listening to it at the speed that I am, and I might just fly through it in one sitting. because I'm enjoying it and I like these characters, even though I feel like they fell in love a touch too fast, but you know, that's okay. That's okay. I just want to know what's going on. So I will check in with you once I have finished this book, which is probably going to be when it's later in the day, in the night. It's almost midnight. So you'll just see more of me looking like this. Aren't you so excited?
You're worried about you now. You've not been yourself. I didn't move from where I'm lying on my bed. Not even changed. I've chased real clothes. It feels like too much effort.
Alrighty, I have finished A Light Amongst Shadows. I hope I'm in focus, but I ended up enjoying it. I don't know if it's like a high 3-star, maybe a 4-star, but I did really end up liking the characters a lot. I liked their dynamics together. I liked how soft everyone was, where it had the potential for it being at an all-boys school for there to be a lot of bullying and mistrust and other sort of things you might see in a historical queer sort of story, and there wasn't any of that. And I also appreciated that when things started to get pretty rocky with this whole paranormal element, that there were teachers that got involved and they weren't just letting the students go about solving things on their own. I always appreciate when adults actually step in to stories and movies and whatnot when the kids are in trouble, and it's not just a bunch of teenagers running around trying to like save the world or save the day. So that's always something that I really do enjoy. However, I still think that the pacing was a little off. I think that the whole book covered the course of a year, and that just felt a little bit strange. It might have been a little bit longer than a year, because in the epilogue it's like 14 months later, and that's after they've already graduated and they were in their 3rd year at this school when this book started. So I'm a little uncertain on that timeline. If I sat down and really thought about it, I might be able to figure it out, but it wasn't as clear while reading as I hoped it would be. But I did really like the characters. I really liked James as a character and being able to be in his perspective, because I feel like a lot of books that, bear with me when I try and explain this one thought, but I feel like the choice to have James as our narrator stands out to me, because I feel like I've read so many books that would have been from William's point of view instead of James, where like James was like the very confident, sure, charismatic guy who had a lot of friends, and William was more the shy, unapproachable, a little bit awkward, people thought he was a weirdo type character. And I feel like we get that point of view in so many books. So to have like not the jock point of view, because I don't think James was a jock at all, but he was the charismatic, friendly one, and I liked that. I liked that it switched it up a little bit, and we got to see inside that type of character's mind when he was getting feelings for another person, because I feel like we always kind of miss out on those in a lot of romances and other like YA books. We always get the shy, awkward person and not the confident, brave and strong love interest point of view. So I enjoyed it, and while I was reading I did think of a couple of books that I felt like might be good recs for after you finish reading this, or if you read one of those other ones that you might like this. So let me grab those. Okay, so first up, I don't recommend Mackenzie Lee as an author, but if you've already read this book, I feel like A Light Amongst Shadows has similar character dynamics. I really felt like Monty and Percy's personalities and the way that they talked to each other and interacted with each other was pretty similar to the way that James and William interacted, and their bantering and their flirting and whatnot. So if you like the dynamic between Monty and Percy, you might like the dynamic of the 2 boys in this story. Another rec that I was comparing it to was A Lady for a Duke, and this one was mostly because of the time period that this one was taking place in. I felt like they're similar, they're historical, they're romances, and this one there is a character that is struggling with like an opium problem, and there is a character in this that is also struggling with that. So it's kind of that worrying about them and their health and what they're doing to themselves. So I felt like that was a dynamic that I saw that could be something that if you like this, you might like this. And both of the relationships are really like soft and gentle, and they really care a lot about the other person. So either way, if you read this, you can read this. If you like this, you can read this. Definitely the plots are going to be different. This one's fluffier, but it also has just like a heavier undertone with certain things that are involved in it. And this one also has some heavier things, and it's not just a romance though. This one does have like the paranormal mystery element to it. Another one I was thinking of was Cat Sebastian's Two Rogues Make a Right. This one is another historical romance, and it's definitely fluffier than this one would be, but there is a heavier undertone to it because one of the main characters has chronic illness, and at the very beginning he's like basically kind of dying because he has a fever and he's not doing well, and the other character has to take care of him and make him healthy again. And then there's just like the acknowledgement of they might not get the longest life together because somebody does have a chronic illness, but there is a lot of tenderness and softness because they've been friends for so long. And even though these characters met at the beginning of this book, they weren't childhood friends, I felt like there was a lot of softness. I'm saying this over and over again because they were like so soft and gentle together, and I really enjoy that dynamic always. So if you have read this, or if you read one of these, you can read the other one, you might like it. This one though is, I don't want to say YA because there are some heavier topics in it, which you should be checking for content and trigger warnings for this, but the characters are 17 and I believe 18 at the very end. I'm not really sure. So that would be the only difference with these two romances being adult and this one being YA. Just thought I would give you some recommendations for this book, but I'm going to end this clip here and we will move on to the next book that I'm reading. Alrighty, we are going to be reading Written in the Stars next, and this one was sent to me by Marley at Marley Reads a Lot, and I have had my eye on it for a while. It's been on my Amazon wishlist for the longest time because I've heard it's super cute, it's sapphic, and I just think I'm gonna like it so much. I think, oh, it's like a brother setting up a sister and it doesn't go well is what I think it's about. I'm not entirely positive, but it's gotta be cute, right? So many people have read this one. I see it recommended all the time, and I kind of think I've heard that the next book in the series is not everybody's favorite, but I also already have that one on my wish list because I assume I'm gonna love this. I really do. So let's get to reading. Okay, I have just finished Written in the Stars, and I think I liked it. I do think that the first 2/3 of it were way more fun than the last third. I kind of feel like these two were a little bit dramatic towards the end. I feel like for the amount of time that they spent together, the emotion that they had during the third act drama was just a little disproportionate. So it kind of just felt a little silly towards the end, and I also feel like the person who ended up groveling didn't deserve to be the one to grovel just based on the situation that was going on, but it wasn't bad. I did have like a slight breakdown over a scene that wasn't written to be as sad as it was, but there's a moment where one of the characters, something gets discarded, like one of their parents like throws something away, and I broke down, like heaving sobs, and the character was upset about it but then like moved on from it by the next scene, but I was unwell. So I don't know where that came from. That was just like, maybe I'm a little bit overtired. It also had to do with a grandmother, so I always struggle with moments like that, but oh my goodness, I just broke down over the thing that got discarded. It was a mess, but for the most part I liked it. But the biggest grievance I have with this book, I do not know why, and I don't think anybody has the same issue, but I feel like the characters had the wrong names. I feel like their names should have been switched the entire time, no matter what. Every time they said Elle, I thought it was the redhead character, the auburn hair character, and every time they said Darcy, I thought it was the quirky cute character. I don't know why, but I could not match their names to them the entire book. There were even moments where other characters would like bring up that character's name and I thought that they were just talking to that person. So like if somebody came up to me and said Paige, I thought that's what was happening in some scenes, but then they were just actually talking about the opposite character. I don't know why that didn't connect for me, and I wonder if that happened to anybody else. I just feel like their names were incorrect for them, and such a strange thing, but I don't know. It was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I definitely will pick up the next ones in the series. I like the writing style. It was just, yeah, it was just dramatic, and that's okay. It was cute in the end, and I really liked the stars and astrology talk. That was fun, but I need to go to bed now. I'm gonna have puffy eyes in the morning because I cried over somebody donating stuff in a book. Great. I forgot to give a book recommendation, but while I was reading Written in the Stars, I did compare it a lot to Delilah Green Doesn't Care, because I felt like the dynamics of the characters were really similar. So if you like Delilah Green, I would recommend Written in the Stars and vice versa. So if you've already read this and haven't read Delilah Green, I would give it a go. So I was gonna come on at the 50% mark and tell you all about Gideon the Ninth, but I ended up DNFing it at the 50% mark. So this is my one and only update of Gideon the Ninth. And I'm so bummed about it because I genuinely thought that this would be at least a 4-star. I really did think it was gonna be a 5-star read because it's by Tor. It's a sapphic in space with necromancers type of story, and it did not work for me whatsoever. I got to, I believe it was 56%. And I had no idea who anybody was. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't really feel like this was set in space at all. And I have since heard reviews and I've watched a few videos that people said that like the way that people pitch this story is not the correct way to pitch this story. It's not really a lesbian necromancers in space type of story. And I definitely wasn't. It was, at least in my mind, it felt like a bunch of people who were meant to have been in space and they ended up at like almost like a boarding school. It felt like I was picturing like a hotel, honestly, and they're trying to solve some mystery that I to this day don't know what it is. They're trying to work together, like I don't know if it was like the royalty of each planet and their necromancer. No, the necromancers were kind of like the royalty and their like sidekicks are supposed to figure out some sort of issue, and I just couldn't figure out what was going on. I didn't understand it, and I think I lowered the audiobook speed so that I could understand it a little bit more, and it still didn't help. I felt like every character had like 3 or 4 nicknames, so a character would be addressing another character and I would think that they were talking to somebody else, but then it wasn't that other person, and I was just so confused. So I'm just really bummed about this because I thought I was going to love it and I didn't get it. This might be one that I eventually try out another time. I have like a whole shelf of books that I've DNF'd that like I kind of want to come back to because I've heard such great things about them. But I don't know. It just wasn't working for me. So we're gonna call this a DNF and move on from there. So on to the next gay book. Okay, there you are, Aspasia. You're in the vlog.
Oh, I'm sorry, here.
As you saw, I was doing some sprints with friends and I'm also a little bit sick, so I might sound funny, but I have made it to maybe 25% of A Taste of Golden Iron and I'm loving it so much. It took me a little bit to really understand what was going on in the story. The first 10 pages or so over my head. I could not understand anything that was happening. There was just a lot of names thrown, different titles. I didn't understand the kingdom and like the hierarchy there. So it took me a little bit, but now I am adoring it. So it is following a prince named Kadu, and he messes up at the very beginning of the story and ends up getting 2 really high-ranking guards. They're not quite called guards, and I can't find where they're called Kaylar, and they're like really prestigious guards, but they also are really highly educated and they have to go through like years of education and courses and tests and stuff to rank as this high-ranking bodyguard, essentially. And at the beginning, Kadu accidentally gets a few of these bodyguards killed, and so as his punishment, his sister tries to demote the Kalyahar that is assigned to him, but Kadu is able to like circumvent that and keep him on as another assignment. So he has to be assigned a new Kalyahar because he is the prince and needs to be protective, even though he's a little bit demoted in his princely duties. A lot of them are being taken away from him as a punishment for him getting these 3 really prestigious figures killed. So we haven't really gotten into the meat and bones of what the book says it's about. Like, I think they are trying to solve a kingdom-wide issue where there's a lot of counterfeit coins going on, and there's some secrets on who is bringing these counterfeit coins into their kingdom. And so I think that's what him and his bodyguard are about to start working on solving, and I'm really liking these 2. It starts off a little bit as like an enemies situation because the bodyguard is upset about his other friends and coworkers who were just killed, and thinks that the prince was very uncaring and had put those people in a position that could have been avoided. And the prince, on the other hand, like, we get to see in his point of view and what really happened through that. So I'm really liking the dynamic, and after about 150 pages, like, watching how they've gone from enemies to like frenemies a little bit, because they do have to work together on a few things. And I'm really enjoying both of them as characters. It's giving me a lot of Winter's Orbit feelings. I feel like the writing is very descriptive, like Winter's Orbit. The dynamic between the two men is similar to the one in Winter's Orbit, so if you read that, you might enjoy this, but I will see if that continues to be the case as I keep reading. But I'm really liking it. It's just way bigger than I expected it to take. I've been reading for like 4 hours and I haven't even made it halfway, so it's fun, but it's long. So I don't know when I'll check in with you next, but I will definitely let you know how I feel and if I'm still loving it as we get further along. Okay, so last week I was kind of sick, actually, so I didn't update when I finished this, but I adored this book so much. There are so many things that I loved about it. I will say that overall the book is pretty slow. There's a lot of detail in the writing. I feel like the author just adored this world so much that they wrote so much detail that maybe could have been taken out. I don't know. I just felt like the world was so vibrant. I saw this like a movie in my head the entire time. I knew where we were. I knew what they were wearing. I knew how they looked. It was just so good, and I don't usually love books with a lot of detail like that, but it felt so natural in this writing to have all the descriptions, and I just adored it so much. I do think that the ending was a little unsatisfactory in some ways. Like, once the big problem was solved, I don't think it was wrapped up as well as it could have been, but overall I still really liked it because of the characters. The characters were so good in this, and I don't know how else to explain it, that they just all meshed so well. They all felt so real to me. I felt like I understood them all and I rooted for all of them. I was so worried that some of them wouldn't make it out of this, so I was just attached to all of the characters and had such a good time, and this world is just so cool. I think when I was looking up the author, it seems like all of their books are written in the same world, maybe not like the same kingdoms and stuff, so you know that, like, I don't remember what I was saying, but I think I was talking about how you can just tell that the author has spent so much time in this world. And I think even in the author's note at the end that it says 6 years worth of time spent on this book. So the author has been living in this world, sees it in their head, and you can really tell in the writing because it's just so vibrant and beautiful, and I loved it so much, and these characters were so great. I also wanted to say, if I didn't mention it in the first clip, that this was a really cool kingdom too, because the succession goes based on the mother. So mothers are the ones who have rights to their heirs, and they are the ones who get to claim their heirs, and they can decide if they want to have a man claim the child. If not, that man has no claim on them whatsoever. They can't take the child, they can't do anything, they have no say over that. And I thought that was so cool, just because it makes sense. If they are growing the child and birthing the child, they have the right to claim that child. And another cool thing was that this was a 3-gender society, so there are characters in here that have different pronouns. I think there were like che, chair, and chim. It was like the C with the little squiggle underneath, so it was cool just to like meet a new character and see the different pronouns being used for them. And also in this society, it just seemed like they didn't care who loved who. There was no like, oh, prince can't be with another man because they would need to produce an heir somehow, because the mothers are the ones who have to handle heirs and they can figure it out in a different way. And it didn't really seem to matter who had feelings toward who in any way. Like, even the sultan, his sister, could have been in love with whoever and that would have been fine. So it was just really interesting. I just had so much fun reading this one, so this was definitely a win. I'm super duper excited about this. But I do need to finish my last book in this vlog tonight because I need to get this video out tomorrow. So we are reading Legends and Lattes, and I did the one thing that I told myself I wasn't going to do and purchased the audiobook on Audible so that I can read it tonight quickly, just because I love audiobooks. But I used a credit, so like it doesn't really count because I already paid for the credit. I've had that credit for a while now. I don't know. I'm gonna read this tonight, so you will probably see me much more tired later tonight as I rave about this book, because I know I'm gonna love it. I know this is gonna be another win. We're just gonna end this vlog on a high.
Alright, where do you want to start? Wherever.
Good morning. So I did not finish Legends and Lattes. I tried to read like 1 or 2 chapters and my brain said, no, we don't comprehend anything at all. So I ended up going to bed so I could wake up and go to the used book sale with my mom. So I did end up coming home with 3 books, and only 3 books, which makes me super duper proud of myself because I was really expecting to come home with like 20. But it was the second day of this sale that happens every year in Phoenix, and it was the half off day. The Saturday that is the first day of the sale usually, I guess, has a lot of people. Like, people are waiting at the door at 5 o'clock in the morning. The doors don't open until 8, and it's like a big deal. So we missed it because we had plans, each of us, yesterday. So we were at the second day, and it was really picked over. It was really old books today, so there wasn't a lot that I personally wanted, and my mom just like kept throwing stuff into her bag. So she ended up with 11. I had 3, so let me show you those real quick, and then I will get back into this vlog. So the first one I found is The Hopefuls by Jennifer Close. I was actually going to buy this a while ago and read it when I was in Washington, D.C. because I've heard that it's set in D.C. and I saw it and figured I might as well get it because I had my eye on it before, and if I ever go back to DC, I can read it then and try out that vlog again because it was a plan and I got sick and did not read anything. I then found Una Out of Order by Margarita Montemor, which I will honestly tell you that I bought it because I'm pretty sure that Books and Lala just had it in a video once. I don't know if she read it or if I even finished that video, but I saw it in the video and I don't remember what she said about it or if she chose it. But I figured might as well give it a go since it was in one of her videos and I recognized it, and it was only $3, so why not? And the final book I got is also a Books and Lala rec. She read Nothing to See Here by Kevin Wilson very recently and gave it like 5 stars. And I put it on my wish list immediately, and then I saw it on the table. So I got this for $3 as well, and I'm super excited about it. So there's my little mini haul. I'm super proud of myself for not coming home with 20 bucks because, you know, I can't do that to myself. I'm trying to clear my shelves. But as you're witnessing, I just added 3, so we'll talk about that at the end. Anyway, let me go read now. I'll let you know how I feel about the book in a little bit. All right, we have finished Legends and Lattes, and it was so cute. It was so cute. It was definitely, like everyone said, a cozy hug in a book. But I have heard people say that they like this more than The House in the Cerulean Sea, and I personally disagree. I feel like this was just a cozy little tale, you know? It followed our main character Viv, who is an orc who gives up her battling days. She's over it and she just wants a coffee shop. That is all she wants. She saved for years, she had a plan, and she went to this little town and she decided she was going to open a coffee shop no matter what. And along the way she meets a bunch of friends and stuff, and it's so precious. But to say that it's better than The House in the Cerulean Sea just like rips my heart out so much, because I felt like that story really just took you on a journey, you know, and this one's just like a cute little slice of life, which is great. And I guess if that's what you're looking for in a book, then I guess that makes sense why this would be your favorite. But House in the Cerulean Sea, cute kids, found family, just, oh, I love it. Love and acceptance, so beautiful. But anyway, I'm not going to compare them. So if you hear somebody say that it's similar, it's not. They're totally different. That is definitely a story. This is just like a slice of life, cute little coffee shop book. It really is. It's just a cute little coffee shop book with a moment that definitely made me cry. I did cry at one part, but it's really sweet. I had a fun time. I don't know if it's 5 stars for me though. I just didn't feel like as fully invested in the entire story and the characters as I was hoping for, but I did love them. I adored them, and I think that this is a super easy read to pick up when you're just feeling a little bit down, so I did really like this one. But my battery light is flashing. I'm gonna go change that, and then we will wrap up this video and talk about where I'm at on my clear my shelf journey. All right, we have made it to the end. We have read 5 books for this video, and I am so proud of myself that I was able to read 4 of them. So to summarize, we did complete A Light Amongst Shadows, and I gave this 4 stars, correct? It's been a while since I read this. I just finished Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, and I think I'm gonna settle around the 4-star, but we'll come back to that rating. I haven't plugged it in the comp pile yet, but I'm thinking it's more like a 4-star. We read Written in the Stars by Alexandra Bellafour, and I think I gave this 3 stars. I cannot remember at this point. No, I think it was 4. I don't know, but it was cute, it was sweet, and I am still convinced that they have the wrong names. They were just given the wrong names. They just needed to be switched. We tried to read Gideon the Ninth, and it didn't work out. I'm not sure if I'll give this one a go. It's been a couple weeks now since I have DNF'd this, and I don't remember. I don't remember any detail about this book. I don't know why it was not sticking in my brain, but if you think I should give this another go, let me know in the comments. Please tell me if I need to save this and make sure that I try it again when I'm in a different headspace or in a different reading mood. I don't know. Let me know about this one, because I don't want to give up on it, because I've heard such good things, but it didn't make any sense to me. It's probably a me problem, not the book's problem. But our favorite of the video was A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexander Rowland. This was just so good. I can't rave about it enough. This is my first 5-star of the year, I believe, and I'm so happy. I'm so happy that we got a 5-star finally. But that means I get to take 5 books off of my TBR shelf. So that took me from 133 books to, math, 128? I think that's right, 128 books. But not really, because like I said, I went and bought 3 books today at the used book sale. But I also bought Olympus for my book club this month. So that is 4 books that I'm hauling officially. I'm not going to talk about what these are because I'll do a haul video eventually, but that means that I only really made it 1 book down. So we started the video with 133 and now we're at 132. Which is progress in the correct direction, but not super inspiring. Do I regret getting the books? I don't. They're gonna be great. I'm gonna love them and they're gonna be amazing and it'll be worth it, but it just means that I probably need to read a little bit more. So look out for my next Clear My Shelf video, which should be out in the next couple of weeks. I am in the middle of filming that one. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. If you have made it this far, leave me the rainbow emoji, because of course. And I think that's it. You can find my Instagram and Discord in the description if you want to chat with me about books. But I will see you in my next video, which will be out very, very shortly. All right, bye.